self-optimization, self-help might be a trap. At least I'm personally making a strong choice to not let that be my focus in life. I've spent the last 10 years working in the self-optimization industry, spoken at the big conferences, gotten to know a lot of the influencers, read a lot of the science, a lot of the popular books. And looking back, it's brought me a lot, but I can also see how I sort of got stuck in a hamster wheel of optimization and self-improvement. And there's a few issues with the mindset, and you can almost call it a cult or a religion of self-optimization. And I want to discuss them with you in this little episode. So, as I said, I've been working on this for a long time. I had a phase in my life of being quite overweight, addicted, depressed, all sorts of issues like this. And I found the realm of biohacking. And in that phase, I realized like, oh wow, there's so much that I can do to enhance my state, to improve myself, to feel better, to optimize my biology. And I was a biology teacher at the time. And it brought me a lot of amazing things. I lost weight. It helped me kick a lot of my habits, my addictions. I could generally feel myself have more energy. And overall, I saw a lot of factors improve. So I was like, clearly this is what life is about. The whole point is to optimize yourself as much as possible so that you have energy and vitality and can have success and impress people, influence people, make it in a certain area of life. And that's where it kind of gets a little bit dodgy. What I realize now looking back is that I don't have anything particularly against self-optimization. But what I see is that it often becomes the goal of life itself. At least that's what it did for me, and I see a lot of people who are stuck in that loop. Longevity is another one of those realms where you see this phenomenon arise a lot. I know some people who are so obsessed with longevity and optimizing every moment of the day, every factor of themselves, that they actually forget to live. So in this chase of trying to add some years to the end of your life, they are basically wasting away the days that they have, anxiously trying to optimize every moment. And through that, not actually living or being present with any of those moments. And I can really see how I've gotten lost in that trap a lot. This obsessive need to be productive, to be optimized, to take every second and turn it into the highest possible yield of whatever it is that we believe that we should make out of it. Make money, have energy, have optimal results, get an ideal amount of likes. So just behaviorally, I think self-optimization has this big potential downside of it becoming an obsession in itself, the goal in itself. And the big question that I've been asking also in my talks and stuff like this over the last years is, what are you optimizing for? This is sort of the first step of awareness out of the self-optimization loop, is to ask, okay, so what if I am optimally healthy and I have, amazing energy levels and I sleep perfectly and I have the ideal body fat percentage and my mitochondria are kicking ass, but what am I going to do with that? Now, what I see and what I've also done is that, for most people it becomes some type of a merit, some type of a coin, a currency that they start to exchange for something that they believe that they're still lacking. So posting on social media every single day about all of your optimized protocols and the way that you're building your ideal life, just to get a little bit of that approval. So it becomes almost like a currency. And this is not just in the self-optimization biohacking scene, also in the sort of self-healing, trauma healing realm. There's a lot of people who take their healing experiences, their engagements with trauma in ceremony or in different sessions, healing sessions, and they see that as like, oh, see, now I've done my work. I've done this incredible bit of healing and I've advanced myself, and I can use that to get stuff from the world. I can post that on social media. I can tell others about it. And there's a very interesting sort of sense of entitlement Because the issue with this type of self-optimization and self-healing is that it becomes transactional. It's the same issue, by the way, with manifestation. As people go, I need life to show up in this particular way. I want the universe, I want God to give me exactly what I want in every moment. And now I'm going to optimize, I'm going to affirm, I'm going to manifest, I'm going to work and tick all of the boxes and spend every moment of every day optimizing for that result. And then I'm going to demand for life to show up in that way. And if it doesn't, I'm going to suffer. Because haven't I done all of the amazing self-optimization, healing things? Haven't I shown life enough of how much I've healed to finally get the approval, the love, the security, the safety that I want? And well, of course, the short answer is that no, you haven't, because that's not how it works. Yeah, so as I said, I've also been stuck in this loop of this transactional mindset, and I'm not trying to judge self-optimization, self-healing at all. I think it is incredibly powerful. I just have realized for myself that there is a big realm beyond that. That self-optimization is just a tiny little piece of a puzzle that is about something far greater than self-optimization, because it is about something far greater than the self. Now, the stuff that I've done, like changing my diet, my lifestyle, my movement habits, the way that I think, look at life, it has been incredibly powerful. Tracking my nighttime rest, tracking my calories at some point, my weight, my steps, like all of these different ways to optimize and track this optimization. It has a place, it definitely has a place. And if you're using it and it's making you feel better, absolutely keep doing it, right? However, if you find that it's a bit of a hamster wheel, if you find that every time you go on social media, you see someone who's just a little bit more optimized than you, and they have just this one supplement or this one tip or this one piece of technology or this one online program that will help you be just a little bit better and just a little bit more optimized just because you need to, you're not finished, you're not there yet, right? That feeling, then you might have gotten onto the shadow side of self-optimization. And I see that I've spent quite a bit of time there, which is a big realization for me, because my biggest realization recently about this, which is also why I'm making this video, this episode, as a bit of a moment where I also speak out a turning point in my life, is that the big issue with self-optimization, self-healing, all of this is the self, the focus on the self. It is all focused on me. How do I make this about me? How do I heal me? How do I optimize me? How do I show me on the social media platforms as optimized and as healed as possible? And like I said, it creates this conditional relationship with life where you say, I'm going to keep my happiness hostage here, my well-being, how I feel, until I've done all the things that I need to do to feel good enough about myself, and then also show them to others, and then get the whatever it is, the cookie of approval, of the carrot on a stick, I should say, of approval, of love, of whatever it is. This is a very interesting relationship with life that, as I said, I found myself in for a long time, and that I am intending to leave behind indefinitely. And the way to do that for me is to stop focusing on the self. It's not about me. And to be completely honest with you, I've kind of lost interest also in myself, my own stories of, oh, this isn't good enough and that has to be like that, and I still need to heal this, and I still have that trauma, and I need to improve that factor in my life. I'm kind of bored with it. I'm kind of done with it, because luckily, I should say I'm very blessed. And over the years of doing this work, a lot of facilitation in the realms of breath work, meditation, recently more and more also in the work of ceremony, plant medicine type of stuff, I've seen that all the best things that made me most happy and that were most fulfilling were not the things that were about me, were all the moments that I was in service to something greater, that I was connected to something larger, that I was overwhelmed and had to surrender to a force so much greater than myself, that somehow had some type of a benign energy, just life, the flow of life, constantly moving in a way that we cannot control, that we can't optimize, that is not really about us and ourselves. And I have to say that, I've got 3 kids, two of them are quite young, and being in service to my family, to my kids, to my wife, this is really what it's about. And it's not about me. And the more I focus on what I want from my family, from my career, from my community, from my life, from my wife, from whatever, the more I suffer. So I'm entering this sort of new experiment that is beyond self-optimization, where sure, I'll keep my, my healthy eating habits, but I'm not going to obsess over getting them right all the time, right? I'll keep my daily meditation, my breath work, because I'm drawn to it, because I'm excited about it, because I love doing it, because it makes me feel really amazing in the moment. But I'm also not going to obsess and worry if I skip a meditation or a breathwork session, or I have a meal that's not 100% healthy. I'm also not going to call them cheap meals anymore, by the way. That's a trap as well. Whatever's right in the moment is right in the moment. And if there's consequences to what's right in the moment, then I'll deal with it in the moment that the consequences arise. And really focus on what is outside of myself. This is really the biggest intention that I have for this. And it's a bit of an experiment also of surrender, because I don't really know what happens if I stop thinking about myself, what I need to achieve, what I need to prove to myself. And to be completely honest, I find myself in a very blessed position, I should actually say, that I have reached all of my goals in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, I wrote my book and I started teaching. I started teaching breathwork. I've traveled the world. I've reached thousands of people. I'm not saying this to brag at all, but I've just realized that attaining all the things that I thought would make me happy and fulfilled wasn't the thing that made me happy and fulfilled. I have been very happy and fulfilled over the last 10 years in many scenarios, but I've also faced very heavy and dark depressive phases, burnout phases, in the last 10 years in doing this work. And I realize now that all of these moments of profound happiness they happened when I wasn't reaching for anything. So for example, I would plan something, set a goal, create an event, a retreat, for example, get everything in order, obsess over social media, making sure I get all the marketing right, perfect everything, and then just force myself and push myself and go like, this has to be something, otherwise I might not be something. And this has been a big part of my mindset. If I really look at it honestly, it's a big shadow thing even to talk about. But it is the truth. And I know that a lot of facilitators who do this work, who show up and that seem enlightened, feel the same way. And this is a very interesting thing as well, is that a lot of the people who are in this work of self-optimization, they aren't posting about their own lack of optimization, about their own feelings of inadequacy, about their own shadows. And it's something I'm not judging anyone, it's just that I am no longer playing that game. That's very clear. Anyway, but I would get it all together and I would see a bunch of people gathered. We'd be sitting in meditation or a breathing session or just singing songs together at the end of a deep session. And I would realize that I was completely uninvolved with myself. All I was doing there was being of service, holding space, creating the music, and I would completely forget about myself and what I was supposed to get from this. And then I looked around and I would see all of these incredible people that showed up for this. And I was like, I have no idea how these people actually got here. And I started to ask, and every person that I spoke to, there was this incredible story of, synchronicities and serendipities and things that would be seemingly random as to how they got there. And their whole story in relation to what made them show up to this work in the first place and how they connected to the other people. And I realized that this is what it's about. This is the most important thing. And all I want to do is focus on being of service in that thing. So instead of optimizing myself, this new phase of my life, and I've been working towards this for a long time. I'm just trying to summarize it here in one video because I want to share it. Instead of optimizing myself, what I want to do is focus on dissolving myself, forgetting myself, emptying myself, quieting myself, so that I can be fully open to all of the incredible stuff that is happening. I wouldn't say automatically, but that's happening. I don't know how it's happening, and I'm also not going to try to know or pretend to know why and how all of these things are happening, because I can see, it's really funny, myself over the past 10 years very often in a sort of hamster wheel of perfectionism and self-optimization and hitting all the right spots, getting it all right, and believing that that's the stuff that has caused my business success, me being able to do this work, bringing all of these incredible people to this work and into my life. And I've honestly believed that the hamster wheel of perfectionism and obsessive productivity and optimization was the thing that led to those incredible things. But now I can kind of see just a flow of life that I have no control over, that I'm actually in full surrender to, no matter how hard I run in my hamster wheel. You know, it's imagine like, actually walking by the water, so imagine like this giant, this is a canal, but imagine this giant river, and it's just flowing in a direction, running its natural course in the way that water does. And that's life, that's the flow of life. And we're laying in this river, and the river just takes us wherever it goes. And I can see myself basically in a little hamster ball, you know, in this river, running in all sorts of directions, taking all of this energy, like trying to get it all right, moving, and then having the illusion that whenever something happens that I want to happen, that's the thing that makes the river move in that direction. Well, maybe, and this is my new experiment, I'm not saying this is reality, but this is a new model that I'm working with. Maybe all of this hamster wheel behavior was just me frantically trying to get a direction or get a sense of direction, getting the feeling that I am influencing all of the great things that are happening, while I was just a little hamster in a hamster ball floating down a river that was floating in that direction anyway. Now, I'm not taking this as any type of excuse to not take responsibility, to not take care of my health, you know, to not keep good mental hygiene. I'm actually realizing that the less I try to control the flow of life and try to win all of my points that I can trade for the things that I want from life and kind of make life show up in my way, the more I do those things, the self-optimization, the healthy eating, the movement, all of this stuff, just out of the joy of the moment for doing them. And if I don't feel like doing them, I do them anyway, because it's not about me. It's not about how I feel about it. What matters is that, you know, I've got kids who want to play with me, and I need to have energy for that. I need to because I want to, right? And I've got a community, I've got a business, I've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's not about what I want from that. It is putting myself fully in service of that. And this change in my life has made me capable of doing a lot of things that I was honestly quite bad at for a lot of my life, which is, for example, being fully open to feedback. People have opinions about what I do, and some of them are incredibly useful for me to listen to. But I've been so obsessed with getting things right that I was much less open to feedback. I also had this almost obsessive desire for things in life to go my way, to show up, for life to show up in the way that I needed it to. And otherwise, I would feel very upset with myself because, oh, clearly I haven't done all the things perfectly, and that's making life not show up. So I'm definitely gonna keep taking care of my stuff, taking care of my body, my nutrition, my business, my money, all of this. And then just release and let go. Because self-optimization and the focus on the self, to me, is just one of the chapters in the book. It serves a great purpose until it doesn't. And if you find yourself being obsessive, stressing about other people being more optimal, not having taken all of your supplements at the right time, all of this kind of stuff, and you're watching this, maybe this is a time to start questioning the same thing. Instead of focusing on self, glorifying, enhancing, optimizing the self to live your most ideal life, maybe it's time to just show up to life exactly as it is and ask, how can I be of service? How can I let life wash myself away, my ideas, my identifications, the programs of the ego and of the mind, and find a profound and humble happiness in just resting and sinking into that moment and being aware that all is present right there. I hope that resonates. Thank you so much for watching. I'm almost 20 minutes in, so I think that's enough for now. If you have any questions, any remarks, please drop them in the YouTube comments below here, and follow and subscribe. I'm gonna be follow, subscribe, whatever, like and subscribe. That's the thing I'm supposed to say. I'm gonna be posting a lot of stuff around this new theme on this channel in the coming months. So hopefully you're there on the ride for me, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.